Welcome to Echoes Untold, where history's forgotten echoes find a voice. Today, we set sail into the perilous waters of the Mediterranean during the height of World War II. Beneath the sunlit waves, an unseen war raged between German U-boats and the relentless forces of the Allies. In this hostile theater, one submarine, U-77, found itself ensnared in a deadly hunt, pursued by aircraft determined to seal its fate. The sinking of U-77 in March 1943 was more than just the loss of another German U-boat. It was a testament to the shifting tides of war. From its early successes to its final desperate moments, this is a story of resilience, survival, and the unrelenting pressure that ultimately doomed it. Echoes Untold, where history whispers, and we listen. By 1943, the once feared U-boats of the Kriegsmarine were facing mounting losses. While the Battle of the Atlantic had been the primary arena for these silent predators, the Mediterranean was an equally crucial battleground. German and Italian submarines operated in these waters to disrupt Allied convoys supplying North Africa. However, with the Allies gaining the upper hand, the Mediterranean was becoming a graveyard for U-boats. Operating in the Mediterranean was far more dangerous than in the Atlantic. Unlike the vast open ocean where submarines had room to maneuver, the Mediterranean was a confined space, bordered by Allied-held territories on all sides. The presence of British-controlled Gibraltar to the west, Malta in the center, and Egypt in the east meant there were few safe havens for German U-boats. Worse still, the Allies had intensified their anti-submarine measures. Air patrols had become more frequent, radar technology was improving, and coordinated attacks between aircraft and warships were proving devastating. By early 1943, several German U-boats had already been lost in these waters, and the Kriegsmarine knew that every patrol sent into the Mediterranean was a dangerous gamble. Among those patrolling these deadly waters was U-77, a Type VIIC U-boat under the command of Oberleutnant zur See Otto Hartmann. Launched in 1941, U-77 had seen its share of action. It had completed multiple patrols, attacking Allied shipping lanes and earning a reputation as a capable hunter. Over its operational career, it had sunk or severely damaged several vessels, contributing to the Axis war effort in the Mediterranean. Yet, despite its successes by March 1943, the odds were turning against U-77. The increased presence of Allied aircraft in the region meant that every surfacing for air, every maneuver, and every communication with headquarters carried enormous risks. On March 28, 1943, U-77 was east of Cartagena, Spain, patrolling for Allied convoys. The submarine had already been operating for several weeks, and its crew was well aware that the skies above them were no longer as safe as they had once been. That morning, the enemy struck. From the skies above, a Lockheed Hudson bomber of the Royal Air Force's No. 233 Squadron, operating out of Gibraltar, was conducting a routine patrol. The Hudson was a versatile aircraft, originally designed as a civilian transport plane but later adapted for military use, particularly for anti-submarine warfare. Equipped with bombs and depth charges, it had become a deadly adversary for German U-boats. The crew of the Hudson spotted U-77 as it attempted to dive. The submarine crew, realizing their cover had been blown, scrambled to execute a crash dive, a last-ditch effort to avoid being targeted. But the aircraft's pilot reacted quickly. The Hudson swooped down and released a series of depth charges, calculated to explode at the exact depth U-77 was diving to. The impact was devastating. U-77 was not immediately sunk, but it had suffered critical damage. Its ability to remain submerged was compromised, and the crew knew that staying beneath the surface was no longer an option. Hartmann made a fateful decision. He ordered the submarine to surface. The German crew emerged onto the deck, assessing the extent of the damage. As the sun rose on March 29, 1943, a second attack was launched against the crippled U-boat. This time, the attacker was a Supermarine Spitfire from the Royal Air Force's No. 249 Squadron. Flying low, the Spitfire swooped down on the struggling U-boat, unleashing its machine guns in deadly bursts. Bullets ripped into the submarine's hull and conning tower, further disabling any hopes of escape. Realizing that U-77 was beyond saving, Hartmann gave the order to abandon ship. The crew hurriedly scuttled the submarine, opening valves to flood the interior. As water rushed in, U-77 began to sink beneath the waves, its once deadly form now slipping silently into the depths of the Mediterranean. Of the 47 men aboard, 9 perished in the attack. The rest, fighting against the waves, were later rescued by Spanish fishermen. Spain, though officially neutral, had a policy of interning both Allied and Axis personnel who found themselves on its shores. The survivors of U-77 would spend the remainder of the war in Spanish internment camps. For the Kriegsmarine, the loss of U-77 was one more blow in an increasingly losing battle. By mid-1943, the once dominant German U-boat fleet was facing catastrophic losses. Improved Allied tactics, better air coverage, and technological advancements had made the oceans a far more dangerous place for these once dominant predators. And so, U-77 met its end, not in a daring raid on an Allied convoy, but in a relentless pursuit from the skies. It serves as a stark reminder that war is a game of adaptation. Those who fail to evolve in the face of superior tactics and technology will inevitably fall. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. Your support helps us continue uncovering history's lost stories and keeping the past alive. Fact-check note. This episode is based on historical records from the Kriegsmarine archives, Royal Air Force reports, and Naval War Diaries. The sinking of U-77 has been documented in Blair, Clay, Hitler's U-boat War the Hunted, 1942 to 1945. Kemp, Paul, U-boats destroyed, German submarine losses in the World Wars, Royal Air Force Squadron records, 1943. Every effort has been made to ensure accuracy in recounting this event.